And they're not all demons. They're involved with this as well. Think of it like if you like scientific protocol, fine. I mean, it's only logic to say that if the question's very important, then perhaps it's good if you ask that question to nature at least 100 times over a week to see what answer is most consistent as you learn this language. Don't just take one or two responses. All right? Just feel it out. Get used to it. This is the language of life. And like I said, this is the origin of neuro-linguistic programming. Studying neuro-linguistic programming would not teach you this. However, seeing and going through and learning this will make something like neuro-linguistic programming a snap. You'll understand it completely. You won't have to study it. In fact, the information about neuro-linguistic programming is so dumbed down and so stripped down. You learn the language of life and you'll catch that all of the time. I'm telling you. Why is this the most important thing, though? Because after you get through your period where you're like, this is crap and all that, you start to see it happening. Then you start to get your answers, you start to get a feel for it. You're going to realize the most important thing, that the creative spirit of the universe is real. And once you know God is real, well, this is where we're trying to go, you see. Once you know God is real, then, and only then, will you be able to say, oh. And see, a lot of people, they say, oh, I can't connect to the Creator right now. I just can't seem to do it. But you're not understanding that a lot of your mind does not want to. You don't want to, quote, give up your addictions and all these other things that you think are fun. Most of them illusion. You can't see it yet. When you get the evidence you need through learning this language, then you'll say, like I did a year and a half ago, okay, I'm on your team. I'm on your team. What do I got to do? I choose to do what you need me to do. When that happens, and you can't do, see, if you do it right now, yeah, I choose to do what you need to do. God knows your whole mind. And if there are parts of your mind that are disagreeing with that, then it won't do it yet. When you get this evidence through understanding how life communicates with itself, then you'll know at that moment, that salient event, where you're going to be like, okay, I can't deny this anymore. And when you see that it's all around you, logic will tell you, based upon how it's answering your questions and what needs to be done, it will be undeniable, and then you'll be able to, for each of you, it will be individual, and the circumstances will be different. But when you make that decision, okay, I'm doing what you want me to do, I'll go through your rehabilitation, your therapy, your guidance, whatever, then the Spirit will lift your veil. When your veil is lifted, you'll know it. There's no reason for me to describe it right now. But put it this way, people will suddenly be asking you, how do you see these subliminal messages? I can't see them. You're right. See, I couldn't see them for the first 33 years of my life either. A lot of them are etheric. And when your veil is lifted, not only will you be able to see that, you'll be able to change your perception. Most of you will be shown a demon. You'll go through a procedure, you'll see what it is when it happens, of the altering of your dimension, so you see its nature, and you'll have to deal with that. It needs you to deal with that, kind of like flooding in psychiatry. If somebody has a phobia or a problem, the Spirit is likely to flood you right in the beginning, especially with this language, the whole thing. When your veil is lifted, you'll be flooded because you're going to have to face your phobias. And so your life will be coordinated until you realize that the only way that you can deal with your phobias is through the love of the Spirit. And you'll be taught that. Hearing me say it won't work. You have to go through it, and you'll see that. Each person has a different phobia, or many of them. And it knows what to do, and it won't overdo it. It'll do what you need done. When your veil is lifted, it's kind of psychic. You call it psychic. I get a kick out of that. That's like two cells in my body saying they're psychic with each other. Yeah, okay, they're both me. But okay, if you want to call it psychic, fine. Whatever. But we'll use psychic to communicate here. That's what happens. All right? It will put two and two together for you. And you will be an active participant in that. You'll see. You will just know. You will not be able to be lied to anymore. You turn on the TV, you will see. You will see 666 everywhere. You will see what you could not see before. And you'll see the the craziness of someone mindlessly mouthing prayer out of a Bible, looking for God in a Bible when it's so active and alive right now. When you go through your lessons, and say you're into that for a year, you'll understand everything Christ was saying. You'll understand it so well, at least I do, it's almost like you're saying, yeah, that guy got it. And you'll see that, a lot of things were omitted. There's a document someone sent me recently, like 3 weeks ago, that I read for the first time. I haven't really read much of what Christ was talking about, because I was getting the lesson from the Creator, man. I stayed away from that, really. But it was called the Talmud of Emmanuel, Jmmanuel. And it's some of the book of Matthew, I guess, and then other things. I felt like I was reading my personal journal. All the things that I knew they were hiding in the Bible were in this. I was reading in an Adobe Acrobat reader, and it would have different sections. You only see one page at a time, and sometimes he would get questions from people. And these questions, you can tell they're just from people that their veil has not been lifted. They're just not connected. They don't have eyes or ears. And they're like asking him these questions, and I'm just thinking to myself, oh man, these people, they just have no eyes, no ears, and they're just, what a joke, you can't even answer that question the way they're asking it to be proven. And I'm like, what did he say? And I scroll down, he's like, you have no eyes, you have no ears. I'm like, oh my gosh. Because, once your knowledge, you need to be prepared for this. When the Creator lifts your veil, your intelligence is going to skyrocket in a lot of ways. As far as your awareness and what's going on, it will make it very difficult for you to try to communicate with the average person, because their questions will be so crude, even though in the mainstream they're considered academic and intellectual. You'll see people try to use words that they think are smart and how they structure their sentences and following these protocols. Pretty soon they'll just be like an open book to you, and you will become tongue-tied, because the knowledge that you will have will be so far above what they think is knowledge, being a, quote, intellectual, that you won't know how to deal with them. All I can tell you at this point, I tried that, it just always turns into arguments, because these people refuse to connect to the Spirit, or they think they are. I don't know, but it's like I'm talking about apples, and they interpret it as oranges, and then want to argue with me and say, it's not oranges, it's pears. You prove to me why it's oranges. Well, I'm not talking about oranges or pears, buddy. I'm talking about apples. And I can't talk about apples in the language of oranges in debate against pears. I just can't do that. I'm telling you, I keep coming back to this. Discrediting? Will they try to discredit me? Sure. Of course, man. Why do you think I keep telling you, don't seek me for the truth? If they make you hate me, and you attach everything I'm telling you to me, well, they've just programmed your mind now, haven't they? Now all the truth I've told you, it's linked to me in your head.